Killing Floor 2 is a game produced and published by Tripwire Interactive, which later received support from Saber Interactive. It was released for PC and PS4 on November 18th, 2016, and released for Xbox One on August 28th, 2017. Due to the violent and gory content in the game, as well as the characters, and, well, all the human characters at least, cursing like drunken sailors, the game has an ESRB rating of M17+, or mature 17+. The target audience is looking to be around sort of young adults, 17 to 20s, as there are a lot of characters in that game that are roughly around that age. This game's genre is a first-person shooter, as well as a survival horror. Classic games that would compare to this particular game would be Doom and Wolfenstein, due to, well, the gory content, as well as the violence. As this is a first-person shooter that you are firing and surviving from monstrosities produced by the human mind. In this game, you choose from a selection of classes that grant your character certain benefits when using certain weapons. What makes this selection quite interesting is that the character you choose is not dependent on which class you have, which allows some players to immerse themselves a bit more as they play the class they want with the character that they want. While there is an additional player versus player mode, this game is dominantly a cooperative game. And this is to reflect how this is more furtherly reflected in how Tripwire constructed the PvP mode, as the mode still has players cooperating to survive against zombies, only now that some of the zombies, or Zeds as they are called in the game, are player controlled. Very similar to Left 4 Dead, or in Left 4 Dead 2, I think. This leads to players being typically helpful to one another and developing a sense of camaraderie as they try to help each other get better weapons to get through the increasing difficulty of waves. This cooperation is emphasized greatly in higher difficulties as the Zeds that approach you become extremely difficult to kill independently, even when using the best of your weaponry. The emotion that I got from this experience is almost a sort of sense of responsibility. You may be wondering why, but when you're engaging in higher difficulties, I found myself playing the medic class a lot to heal and sort of provide damage reduction buffs to my fellow heads Zed, Hunter, Slayer people. Because Tripwire is consistently adding new weapons to the game, they made it engaging to play as the medic class because they added more weapons specifically for the medic class. The medic class before was not really known for its interesting weaponry. It had pretty basic stuff, right? Assault rifle, shotgun, and that was just about it until recently, where they added the hemoglobin as well as several other things. The medic class becomes extremely vital in later difficulties, where the damage each Zed deals can definitely kill a player very quickly. And I almost feel like I became a very valued asset to my team, since I was the one wall that separated them from imminent death. It felt very empowering to be sort of like, to feel like, even if that might not even be the truth of it, to just feel like you had some level of importance. Because despite sort of like, what people might feel about sort of a supporting character, like I felt very empowered by knowing that like my existence is like, and all of my actions were vital into keeping the team alive. So what's the plan to subvert the developer's intentions in order to get some queer gameplay in here? Well, the developer intends us to basically kill Zeds, get money, buy more weapons to kill more Zeds, and so forth. This is because the narrative of the game is circulated around the player being a mercenary hired by some absurd tech giant. And with that, we gain money for the amount of zombies that we kill. And we use that money to buy more insane weaponry so that we can recklessly charge into the fray with our comrades. But in this particular game mode, that will not happen. And as it also intends for us to operate in a group of people for us to be reckless, that will also not happen. The ground rules for this method of gameplay is that we will only be using the knife and maybe a pistol for this run. We won't be allowed to use any weapon that we pick up or our class weapon that we start with. We are allowed to heal ourselves because, well, we'll be playing by ourselves, and this is it. This will be a solo run. Now you're wondering, how does this change the narrative, the aesthetics, and the dynamics of this gameplay? Because the quintessential of queer gameplay is that we are straying from the normative of this game. And the normative of this game is that you are a mercenary coming in, killing zombies, and getting out. By taking away the money, taking away the big weapons, and taking away all the other fundamental gear, it no longer becomes that game anymore. By going through this game mode, it changes the narrative, the aesthetics, and dynamics. This goes beyond a counterplay because it forbids the usage of our by forbidding the usage of our currency, we no longer are a mercenary hired by the tech giant Horzing to hunt monsters. We become nothing more than a mere survivor in the middle of an outbreak hell, armed with nothing but a knife and our wits to survive. The aesthetic sensation that we get from this game isn't the adrenaline rush that comes from rushing the biggest, baddest Zed with the biggest, baddest weapon. It becomes fear. For when all you have is a knife, you become far less reluctant to go into a head-to-head fight with a Zed that has a chainsaw for a hand. The adrenaline rush that you get, it still will be adrenaline, but it won't be because you are taking out your aggression on a bunch of lowly monsters. It will be because you are terrified of these, what was once lowly monsters, terrifying creatures. The dynamic in this game shifts because you aren't with a group of friends who you know can back you up so that you can charge headlong into hell. You are far less powerful, operating sheerly on your ability to outsmart the AI, kite the AI, focus on your survival rather than slaying. From this method of queer play, it delivers an entirely different experience from being an important, empowering mercenary to become a powerless survivor trying to get by in a company-produced hellscape.